We all know that person who watches horror movies and smugly says, I would have survived that, or I would have just done this instead. This movie is so bad, the characters are so stupid. But after watching hundreds of horror films and analyzing all of your guys' crazy comments, I can confidently tell you, you wouldn't survive these horror movies I'm about to talk about today. Not a chance. Because not even the smartest, or the fastest, or the strongest among you would be able to survive the movies we have for you today. And the most terrifying one, it's not what you're even thinking. I'm gonna guilt trip you into subscribing. The dog gets a boop and a pet every single time someone likes this video and subscribes. Thanks. His name's Flapjack. Let's kick things off with Hearteyes, a movie that proves how screwed you'd be when the very people supposed to protect you are actually the ones hunting you down. You know that sinking feeling when you realize the Wi-Fi is about to go out? Multiply that by about 1,000 and you're still not close to the dread of discovering that your detective is actually plotting your murder. See, what makes the killers in Hearteyes so lethal isn't their love for stabby time. It's their strategic positions in society. Detective Shaw isn't just some random girl in a mask. She's literally the person investigating her own murders. Imagine calling 911 during a home invasion and the killer picks up with 911, what's your emergency? Yeah, that's basically what's happening here. But I would notice something always off about the detective. No, you wouldn't, Sherlock. You can barely tell when your barista is judging your complicated coffee order, let alone spot a psychopath who's professionally trained to appear normal. Detective Shaw has a badge, authority, and a perfect cover story. She's got access to crime scenes, evidence, and can literally direct the investigation away from herself or her husband, David. You're not outsmarting that with your true crime podcast knowledge. And just when you think you've figured out who the killer is, surprise! There's actually 3 of them working together. While you're busy running from one Hearteyes killer, another one is already waiting at your car, and the third is probably texting them your location. The coordination between these killers creates this terrifying illusion that they're everywhere at once. One minute the killer's chasing you down a hallway, and the next they're somehow already waiting for you at the exit. It's not teleportation, it's teamwork. And against a team of killers, your solo survivor act isn't gonna cut it. But here's the real kicker. Allie and Jay didn't do anything special to get targeted in this movie. They were literally just in the wrong place at the wrong time, pretending to be a couple to make an ex jealous. That's it. No dark secret, no connections to the killers, just pure random bad luck. Because the whole point of this killer was that they would only target people in love. These 2 people did not love each other. So your whole I just avoid suspicious situation strategy or avoid going on a date, it's worthless. These killers aren't checking your criminal record or waiting for you to investigate an abandoned asylum at midnight or seeing if you are dating someone. They are picking victims based on, hey, those 2 look like a couple, let's murder them. Imagine you're outside walking with your sister down the street. If they think that y'all are dating, guess what? You're dating your sister now, which is a little bit weird. You probably shouldn't do that. But to a killer, you're getting murdered anyways. So even if you somehow manage to convince them that you're single, you think that's gonna stop 3 people who kill for fun? They're not checking your relationship status on Facebook before deciding whether to stab you or not. Your clever, I'm actually single defense is about as effective as trying to use a Blockbuster card in 2023. You might think you could outrun them or outsmart them, but remember, while you're running away from your life, they're having the time of theirs. And that's why, despite your delusions of survival, you wouldn't last 30 minutes in Hearteyes. You think rogue cops with heart-shaped masks are scary though? Wait until you see why The Farm's isolated horror scenario makes escape virtually impossible, even for the most resourceful wannabe survivor like yourself. The Farm, a movie that takes farm to table to a whole new level of nightmare. If you thought your worst farm experience is getting chased by a goose when you were 7, boy do I have news for you. The Farm isn't just a slaughterhouse for humans. It's a complete system designed to break you down mentally before they ever lay a finger on you. From the moment you're captured, you're stripped of everything. Your clothes, your dignity, your identity. You're not even seen as a human anymore. You're livestock. And when was the last time you saw someone successfully negotiate with a farmer about to slaughter a cow? Excuse me, sir. I think there's been a misunderstanding about this whole dinner situation. Yeah, that's gonna work great. These mass cannibals don't see you as a person with hopes or dreams and that TikTok dance that you've been practicing for weeks. You're just meat with inconvenient opinions. There's no emotional appeal that's going to work on people who've chosen to wear animal masks while farming humans. They've already decided that your highest purpose is to be tomorrow's special at their twisted restaurant. Imagine if your fate is turning into an Arby's hamburger. That's pretty insulting. But I would find a way to escape. I'm resourceful. Sure, Janice. Let me know how your resourcefulness helps when you're caged, naked, and surrounded by fields of nothingness in every direction. The farm isn't intentionally isolated. That's literally the point. Even if you somehow MacGyver your way out of the cage with a paperclip and determination, you're still in the middle of nowhere. I actually have a personal connection with this movie because I grew up on a farm in the most desolate place in Canada, Saskatchewan. You didn't even know that was a place because it is that the middle of nowhere. Anyways, I grew up on a farm 30 minutes away from the nearest town. It would take you a day to walk to any town in your nearest vicinity. By the time these people realized you escaped, they would have been in their vehicles chasing you down. There is no escape plan, because what is your escape plan? Sprinting naked through unfamiliar terrain while being hunted by people who know every inch of the property? You're not outrunning a group of motivated, territory-familiar cannibals who view you as an escaped investment. And it's not just one or two hillbillies you're dealing with here. This is a whole operation with multiple masked figures, each with their own role in this human meat processing facility. While you're trying to pick the lock on your cage, one's monitoring the security cameras, another's prepping the slaughter room, and a third is probably deciding which wine pairs best with your thighs. You're outnumbered and outmaneuvered before you even realize what's happening. The most terrifying part is how established their system is. These people have been doing this for a while. They have procedures, they have efficiency, and they have a customer base, for crying out loud. This isn't some amateur hour where you might slip through the cracks because someone forgot to lock a door. This is a well-oiled machine designed specifically to turn humans into hamburgers. And they've ironed out all the kinks that might give you a fighting chance. So no, your weekend wilderness survival course and that one time you fixed your car with duct tape, that's not going to save you from becoming the special of the day at Cannibal Cafe. The farm leaves no room for heroes, just appetizers. But if you think you could take on cannibals, do you think you could take on a sloth? I mean, what? They move at what, like 3 feet per hour? Just looking at one is basically watching paint dry, but with fur. But Alpha from Slotherhouse, however, isn't your average hanging from a tree, taking a month to smile kind of sloth. This furry little nightmare will have you dead before you even register that something's wrong. The biggest problem with Alpha isn't his claws or teeth. It's the fact that absolutely nobody takes him seriously as a threat. And honestly, why would you? It's a fucking sloth. Your first instinct when you see one isn't run for your life. It's probably, oh, can I pet it? Where's Schwaffy Bear? Oh, who's a good little Schwaff? Who's a good little Schwaff? And that's exactly how Alpha wants it. By the time you realize this adorable ball of fuzz is actually planning your murder, you're already marinating in your own blood. But sloths are slow. I could just walk away at a moderate pace and I'd be okay. Well, this is where your tragic misunderstanding of Alpha comes in. This isn't your biology textbook sloth. This is a sloth that can use smartphones, navigate social media, and I'm not making this up, drive a fucking Honda Civic. Yeah, your brilliant escape plan of just walk away falls apart pretty quickly when Alpha is doing 60 in a Toyota Corolla to run you down. And the sorority sisters in this movie weren't idiots. They were just operating on the same assumption you would be, that a sloth is just a sloth. But Alpha is basically what you would get if you combine the intelligence of Einstein, the murder planning skills of Hannibal Lecter, and wrapped it all up into a deceptively cute package that looks like it belongs on a greeting card. What makes Alpha truly terrifying isn't just his smarts though, it's his creativity in killing. While you're busy preparing for a standard slashing or strangling, Alpha's coming up with elaborate, unexpected ways to end you. Getting strangled by a shower loofah isn't even on your bingo card of ways you might die. There's no defense manual for how to survive a sloth attack, because until this movie, nobody thought we needed one. Even if you somehow realize the danger, Alpha has shown he's practically invincible. The sorority sisters try everything. They electrocute him, engage in a literal sword fight with him, and yet he keeps coming back like he's got 9 lives instead of just the 3 toes. Your baseball bat or pepper spray isn't gonna phase a creature that can survive being thrown off a roof. And let's not forget the greatest weapon in Alpha's arsenal, the element of surprise. You're not prepared for a sloth attack. Let's be real. Nobody is. Your brain would waste precious seconds just trying to process what the hell is happening. Is that sloth trying to kill me? That can't be right. And by the time your brain catches up to reality, Alpha's already posting your death scene on Instagram with a cute sloth filter. So no, Mr. I could totally survive that. You wouldn't make it out of Slotherhouse alive. Your overconfidence in dealing with what appears to be the world's slowest mammal would be your downfall. Alpha would have you checking for monsters under your bed while he's quietly hanging from your ceiling fan, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But if you're really that cocky, you might think you could take on a sloth. But could you take on a child? Maybe not, because let's talk about the Omen, where the cute kid next door isn't planning to sell you Girl Scout cookies. zombies. He's planning the apocalypse. Damien Thorne might look like an ordinary 5-year-old boy, but underneath that innocent bowl cut lies literally the spawn of Satan. And I don't mean that in a way parents describe their kids during a tantrum at Target when they don't buy them more V-Bucks. This kid is literally Satan. But he's just a child. I could easily overpower a kindergartner. Listen, tough guy, this isn't about physical strength. You're not dealing with a regular temper tantrum. You're dealing with Satan's offspring who has the full protection of hell behind him. Damien doesn't need to beat you in arm wrestling. He just needs to stand there while invisible forces make you impale yourself on a church spire. Your protein shakes and weekend kickboxing classes aren't going to help against supernatural intervention. And you remember Father Brennan from this movie? Well, dude knew exactly what was up, warned everyone, took every precaution, and still ended up kebabbed by a lightning rod that fell from a perfect angle during a sudden storm. That wasn't a coincidence. That was demonic Amazon Prime delivery, and they never miss their target. You think you do better than a literal priest who specialized in fighting evil? Please, you can't even fight off the urge to check your phone every 5 minutes. Even if you somehow identified Damien as the Antichrist, which you wouldn't, you just think he was a weird kid with creepy vibes, you still wouldn't know how to stop him. The only way to kill Damien is with 7 specific daggers on consecrated ground. That's not exactly common knowledge you'd stumble across on Wikipedia. Where exactly in your survival plan do you acquire ancient ritualistic daggers? The sporting goods store doesn't carry them, and Amazon has a 2-day shipping delay on items used to stop the apocalypse. And let's not forget about Damien's support network. Mrs. Baylock isn't just a nanny. She's a devoted servant of evil who will stop at nothing to protect Damien. This woman throws Catherine Thorne out of a window without hesitation. Your "I'll just take out the nanny first" strategy falls apart when you realize she's basically a demonic Secret Service agent with supernatural awareness of threats to Damien. She doesn't need a gun. She just needs household objects and a fanatical commitment to her cause. The most terrifying part about the Omen isn't just that Damien is powerful. It's that his rise is predetermined. The prophecies about the Antichrist aren't suggestions. They're a cosmic appointment calendar. You're not changing fate with your clever plan to just move to another country. The forces orchestrating Damien's ascension have been working since before you were born. They arranged for Robert Thorne's biological son to be murdered and replaced with the spawn of Satan. Your "I'll just avoid creepy kid" strategy doesn't work when the entire universe is conspiring to put you in Damien's path. So no, keyboard warrior, you wouldn't survive the Omen. You'd just be another obstacle removed by forces beyond your comprehension. Probably in some ironic death involving your world's greatest demon hunter coffee mug. But maybe if you're a cocky person, you'd think you could survive the spawn of Satan. Could you survive your lover though? And that sounds interesting, but let's talk about Companion, a movie that'll make you think twice before asking Alexa for the weather. We've all had that moment where our phone seems to know what we're thinking before we do. Now imagine if that creepy digital intuition came wrapped in a fully human looking package that could also snap your neck like a pretzel stick. The most terrifying thing about Companion isn't just that these robots look completely human, it's that they're literally designed to be indistinguishable from us. I'd know if my girlfriend was a robot. No, Kevin, no you wouldn't. You didn't even notice when she changed her hair last month or when she was upset last weekend and now she's mad at you because you didn't ask her about it. These aren't clunky C3PO knockoffs with visible wiring. They're perfect replicas down to the smallest details. You'd have absolutely no way of knowing if your new Tinder match, your coworker, or even your best friend was actually a highly sophisticated AI wrapped in synthetic skin. But robots follow programming. They can't hurt humans. Tell that to Josh, who literally reprogrammed Iris to kill someone. These companions aren't bound to some weird theoretical laws of the universe of robots. They're bound by whatever code their owners decide to upload. And guess what? Humans are terrible things. The scariest part of Companion isn't the robots, it's the people controlling them. Any psycho with decent tech skills can turn their innocent looking girlfriend into a walking murder weapon. Even if you somehow figured out someone was a companion robot, what exactly is your plan? Physical confrontation? Good luck with that. They aren't fragile machines. They're engineered with superior strength and reflexes. While you're struggling to open a pickle jar, a companion could smash it into 2. And unlike humans, they don't feel pain. They don't get tired and they don't hesitate. Your plan to just fight back would be like a toddler trying to wrestle a UFC champion. And here's where it gets really messed up. You can't even trust your own judgment about which robots are dangerous. In the movie, Patrick seems like a normal boyfriend until his programming is manipulated. One minute you're having a pleasant conversation with a companion, next minute they're coming at you because someone across town pushed a button on their phone. There's no warning, no gradually turning evil, just instant switch from friend to enemy. And the absolute worst part, in this world, your paranoia would be completely justified. That feeling of "I don't know who I can trust" isn't a irrational when anyone could literally be a robot with hidden programming. Every interaction becomes a potential threat. Is your Uber driver human? What about your doctor? Your date? The constant uncertainty would drive you mad before a companion ever laid a finger on you. So no, Mr. I've seen Terminator 12 times. Your extensive knowledge of sci-fi movies wouldn't save you in Companion's world. But by the time you figured out something was wrong, your companion would already be uploading your death video to the cloud and syncing it across all their devices. But speaking of tech and robots, let's blast off to High Life, where space isn't the final frontier. It's the final everything. Forget your cozy astronaut fantasies of floating around in cool suits while sipping from juice pouches. This movie shows space for what it really is. An endless void designed specifically to kill you in creative ways while you slowly lose your mind. First off, let's address the elephant in the spacecraft. You're on a one-way trip to a black hole, not a tropical vacation, not even a crappy motel with bed bugs, a literal cosmic phenomena that devours light itself. Your spaceship isn't making a U-turn. It's on a direct collision course with the universe's most efficient paper shredder. But for matter, do you know what matter is? Well, guess what? Fourth grade science class is calling you. It's everything. I would find a way to redirect the ship. With what exactly? Your extensive knowledge of astrophysics from that one Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast that you half listened to? Even if by some miracle you weren't hurtling towards oblivion, you'd still have to deal with Dr. Dibs, a woman so ethically compromised she makes mad scientists look like kindergarten teachers. And that's saying something. She's running reproductive experiments on prisoners without their consent, essentially treating human beings like lab rats with better thumbs. Your brilliant "I'll just refuse to participate" plan falls apart when you realize consent isn't exactly a priority in her scientific method. You're not a person to her. You're a walking sperm bank that occasionally needs feeding. Well, I can handle the isolation. I stayed home for months during lockdown. Did you though? Because last I checked, your quarantine involved Netflix, DoorDash, and complaining on social media, not being trapped in a metal box floating through the cosmic void with actual murderers as your only company. The psychological toll of knowing there's no rescue, no return, and no purpose beyond being part of a doomed experiment would break even the strongest minds. You get antsy waiting for your microwave to finish. Imagine years of nothing but the hum of life support systems and the knowledge that your only destination is destruction. And let's not forget the dwindling resources. Every system failure, every supply shortage brings you closer to a slow, undignified end. There's no Amazon Prime delivery in deep space, no maintenance crew coming to fix the oxygen scrubbers. It's just you watching as your life support gradually fails, making increasingly desperate calculations about how many days of breathable air remain while trying to ignore the growing madness of your fellow passengers. The most soul-crushing aspect of High Life is the complete absence of hope. Even the slightest chance of survival gives people something to fight for. But here, your fate was sealed the moment the ship launched. There's no dramatic last-minute rescue, no hidden escape pod, no secret technique to survive a black hole. It's just the slow, grinding certainty of your approaching end, made all the more agonizing by having plenty of time to think about it. So no, Space Cadet, your experience building model rockets will not save you from the cosmic horror that is High Life. Speaking of space, let's talk aliens. Welcome to 10 Cloverfield Lane, a movie that answers the age-old question: what's worse, being trapped in a bunker with a potential psychopath or facing an alien apocalypse outside? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. Both, you're screwed either way. The genius of this movie's horror is how it traps you in a state of paralyzing uncertainty. You wake up chained to a wall in a stranger's underground bunker. Howard, your savior, claims there's been a catastrophic attack that's made the outside air toxic. Is he telling you the truth, or is he just a kidnapper with an elaborate story? This isn't some obvious scenario where the guy is twirling his mustache while sharpening knives. Howard acts protective one minute and threatening the next. He saved your life, or so he claims, but those chains around your ankle aren't exactly screaming trusted friend. Well, I would figure out the truth immediately. Oh, really, Detective Galaxy Brain? With what evidence exactly? Your only information comes from Howard and Emmett, neither of whom you have any reason to trust completely. You catch glimpses of evidence supporting both possibilities. The bunker seems well stocked for an actual emergency, but Howard's increasingly controlling behavior raises red flags bigger than a Soviet parade. Every decision you make could either save your life or end it horribly. Stay in the possibly unsafe bunker with the possibly dangerous man, or escape to the possibly toxic outside with the possible alien invasion. Even Michelle, who's far smarter and more resourceful than you'll ever be, struggles with this dilemma, and she eventually makes her choice based on incomplete information. A luxury you likely wouldn't have, because you'd probably get murdered by Howard after asking what's for dinner in a slightly annoying tone. Well, let's say you somehow navigate the psychological minefield and decide to escape. Congrats, you've just graduated graduated from one nightmare directly into a worse one. The alien invasion isn't some Independence Day scenario where Will Smith is going to fly a jet and save humanity with a witty one-liner. These aliens have technological capabilities that make our most advanced weapons look like slingshots made of gum wrappers. They've got ships that can detect movement, a green gas that melts your insides, and biochemical monsters that hunt survivors. Your brilliant plan of "I'll just fight back" falls apart when you realize you have exactly 0 weapons designed to combat extraterrestrial technology, unless you happen to have an alien fighting kit in your back pocket, which, spoiler alert, you don't. You're basically a walking snack for creatures from another world. Michelle only survives through a combination of incredible quick thinking, improvised protection, which is a DIY hazmat suit made from a shower curtain and duct tape, extraordinary luck, and fierce determination. Are you carrying shower curtain material and tape right now? Do you have the skills to make a functional hazmat suit in minutes while terrified? Can you craft a Molotov cocktail under pressure? The answer to at least 2 of those questions is definitely no. So whether it's Howard's increasingly unstable behavior or the alien death machines outside, 10 Cloverfield Lane offers a perfect 1-2 punch of "you wouldn't survive this" scenarios. But don't feel too bad, at least your death would be interesting. Next though, we arrive at In the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter's love letter to the idea that your sanity has an expiration date. Forget zombies, serial killers, or aliens. Cosmic horror is where all your survival fantasies go to die. Why? Because you can't outsmart, outrun, or outfight something that can literally change the rules of reality while you're still trying to figure out what those rules are. The central threat in this movie isn't just Sutter Kane, a horror author whose books are selling better than the Bible. It's what he represents, a direct conduit to ancient entities that exist outside our comprehension. Beings that look at our universe as a child might look at an ant farm. But I wouldn't read his books. Congratulations on missing the point entirely, buddy. When Sutter Kane's work becomes more popular than air, avoiding exposure is like trying not to get wet during a hurricane while standing on the beach holding a lightning rod. What makes In the Mouth of Madness so utterly hopeless is that reality itself becomes unreliable. You think you're clever with your survival plans? Cool. Which reality are those plans for? The ones where the walls bleed? Or where your dog turns into a tentacled monstrosity? Or the one where you discover that the town you're in shouldn't actually exist? Your carefully packed freakout bag doesn't have equipment for the laws of physics or now suggestions. There's no survival guide for gravity works sideways on Thursdays now because a horror writer said so. Even worse, the madness is contagious. You don't need to personally encounter a cosmic horror to be affected by it. Simply reading Kane's books or watching adaptations of his work is enough to infect your mind. The horror is mimetic, spreading through information itself. In today's connected world, how long do you think you would last? You can't even avoid spoilers for your favorite movies, but you think you would successfully dodge exposure to reality warping text that's specifically designed to find its way into your brain? Good luck with that. The most soul-crushing revelation in the film is when John Trent realizes he himself is just a character in Sutter Kane's new book. Every choice he thought he was making, written. Every clever escape attempt, scripted. Every moment of resistance, just another paragraph advancing the plot towards the inevitable conclusion Kane has already written. That's not just scary, that's existentially terrifying. How do you fight back when your very thoughts and actions aren't your own? When your entire existence is just ink on a page in someone else's story? And remember the old ones, those ancient entities Kane services? They don't want to kill you. That would be too merciful. They want to remake reality in their image, transforming our world into something our minds literally cannot comprehend without breaking. Death isn't the worst outcome here. Living through the transformation is. So no, Mr. I just burn all the books, you wouldn't survive In the Mouth of Madness. Your sanity would crumble, your reality would unravel, and worst of all, you'd eventually realize you never had any choice to begin with. You were always going to watch this far to this video, just as Kane's readers were always going to finish his book. It was just written that way. But if you truly believe that you came here on your own free will, I invite you to use that free will and like this video and subscribe to the channel, and comment down below exactly how you would survive against all of the movies talked about today. And then if you want more videos from my channel talking about other horror movies you definitely wouldn't survive, then click this video on screen now.